Hola, hola, hola. Hello, beloveds. Welcome to a spiritual remedy conversation and meditation. My name is Sunshine Day, and I am your spiritual living coach. And today is March the 15th, 2021. A bright and great, amazing morning. Or as one of my beloved people that I look up to, Iyanla Van Sant, would say, Grand Rising, beloveds, Grand Rising. Imagine that today is indeed the first day of the rest of your life, because it is. It's always today. It's always this moment. It is always now where we have the power to choose. Well, again, welcome, welcome, welcome. What I want to share with you about this particular episode is that we are going to be talking about Imagine. And what I want you to know is that I see a world where clean and sober people are living their best life and loving it. And my purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. There are many of us still sleepwalking, still asleep. And my purpose is just to awaken us to our spiritual magnificence, to be the person to remind you that right where you are, there's a power, a presence, a life that you can use for your good and for the good of humanity. It is right where you are. You don't have to go to the mountaintop. You don't have to go deep down in the deep blue sea, but that if indeed you pause and recognize that life force within you, that right there is your God, your God, your higher power, the life force, that life essence, and that it is not somewhere far off, but it is everywhere present. And so my mission is to provide spiritual tools and loving support for personal transformation. What I know is that these spiritual tools have transformed my life. I can share with you that once upon a time, my life was circling the drain. My life was a life not worth living. My life was filled with a lot of shenanigans, with drinking, drugging, a lot of activities that unless I was under the influence, I would not be proud to say I participated in these things. And what I can share with you is that as a result of putting into play some spiritual tools, that these spiritual tools help to transform my life. And so after years of study and after, years of being sober, meaning away from the intoxicants, away from the weapons of mass distraction, after years and years of, school, I've received a master's degree in consciousness studies, and I committed to using my master's degree in consciousness studies to bring these spiritual tools for personal transformation. What I've added to that is loving support, because what I find that folks need most is the loving support, and loving support looks different to so many different people. And so as your spiritual living coach, I am here to provide that loving support and to introduce you and to guide you through by using spiritual tools for your personal transformation. Good morning, Sunny Day. I know Sunny Day is out and about on this Monday morning, changing and transforming lives and doing health and fitness. Hola, hola, Nancy. Nancy's holding the fort down right where you are. So happy that the both of you are hanging out, and so many more of you are hanging out with me on this Monday morning. Now, for those of you who've been with us, we have been looking this month at the theme of Imagine. And we've been looking at Imagine because the the power of our imagination, the power that we have right within us in itself can be seen almost as a higher power in itself, right? The power of our imagination. Now, let's define imagination. Let's define imagine. And it is really to have this mental picture, right? To form an image or a concept of, right? And it's magnified. Notice the word MAG, magnify. When we magnify this picture in our mind, what we do is we begin to see it. Good morning, Greg. I love you so much, Rev. So glad that you're with us here. When we use the power of our imagination, we begin to see ourselves. Each and every one of us, we have seen ourselves and we have painted mental pictures of ourselves in various circumstances and situations. I'm about to go on a trip, and I talk about this often because I can just see myself on the beach on this tropical island, having a nice, cool, beverage, and, just laying on this beach with a pineapple juice or with mango or, what, like I can actually see myself being there, being in the water, frolicking, and just kind of enjoying the sun on my face. Now, that's an amazing use of my imagination. But I got to tell you that, when I first tried this thing called sobriety, and I first started trying to separate myself from these weapons of mass distractions, these weapons of mass destruction, because, whether it's alcohol, food, stress, whether it is, any of those things, gambling, sex. I mean, all of those things are actually, destructive when it's too much, and it takes me away from my authentic self. And so as I began trying to separate what I was doing and who I was becoming from my authentic self, I had to put some space and time between, but I also had to engage my imagination. I had to let go of this sunshine who was, dope fiend, running the streets, alcoholic. I had to stop seeing myself on Gun Hill Road with a 32 ounce, hanging out with the fellas, drinking beer out of the bottle and passing it. Like, I had to separate myself from that activity and begin to see myself and imagine what my life might be like without the booze, without the shenanigans, what my life might be like if I were to actually be sober. And for a little while, of course, it's like boring. Like, what would I do? What would my life be like? Like, it couldn't be good. But I had to continue to paint a mental picture of what my life might be like, what I might do with all that money that I was saving, like what I could see myself paying for and doing with the money that I was saving that I wasn't buying booze with or drugs with. I had to begin using my imagination to see a new me. And that is the proper use and a powerful use of imagination. I was looking up a couple of things around imagination, especially, how powerful it is. Good morning, Bertha. Imagining being at peace with my body. Oh, wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Aida, ¿cómo estás? Aida from the Bronx. And good morning, Elsa. Bendición. Que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you. We begin to see ourselves. Now, this is why I do these episodes and I do these shows, because even though this is geared to people in recovery or people, I think we're all kind of in recovery. We're all trying to leave and put aside or put down some intoxicant, something that is not necessarily for our highest good, and begin actually going forth, moving forth into that which is for our highest good. And, so I love it that folks from all over the place come, whether you know or whether you believe that you're in recovery or not, it doesn't really matter. These spiritual tools actually promote your personal transformation. And if you're about that personal transformation, transcending those things that no longer serve you, actually living fully in your authentic self and letting go of the things that no longer serve you, that is my job as your spiritual coach, right? As your spiritual living coach. And so, what I'm trying to help us do this month is to have our imagination be a continuous part of our life. Now, earlier this month, I was speaking to a spiritual community about this idea called visioning, and actually a spiritual practice called visioning. And what I want to bring forth is that, folks who are making these transitions and changes in their life, they get to begin to see themselves there. I remember training police officers and watching the new recruits and watch them be civilians, and how every day, during their training, they changed and changed and changed and had the mentality of police officers by the time they were done. And so it is with us, that these spiritual tools can be used. But first, what we get to do is we get to kind of ask our indwelling presence, that indwelling I am, that life force within us. We get to kind of check in with that life force and ask, what is for my highest and best? Thank you, Shannon. I'm glad you think this is great stuff, because I do as well. And it has been part of transforming my life for the better. Now, pause just where you are right now. And if you were to safely close your eyes, if you're driving, please don't do that. But if you were to just gently close your eyes, just in an effort to shut out the world and what is seen with our eyeballs. And if you just allow yourself to focus on your breath, you might even tell yourself, I'm breathing in and I am breathing out. And if you recognize that breath, before we focused on it, you didn't even have to think about breathing. And that's because there's this infinite power and intelligence that is living as you, that is breathing you. Focus there. Focus right there. Now, in this calm and receptive state, if you were to ask yourself, your higher self, that self within you that only wants the highest and the best, like, what is the quality of my day today? What is it that I bring to the quality of this day? Anywhere I go, with whomever I speak, with whatever I do, is it the quality of love or peace or harmony? Is it the quality of joy? Es la cualidad de armonía, paz, amor. In other words, if I were going to a party and there was something there that I wanted to experience, and it wasn't there. It's not there because I didn't bring it. So it's within me. What is the quality that I am to express today? Whether it's abundance or beauty, creativity, persistence, power, peace, prosperity. Is it the quality of love, of divine order, the quality of wisdom, of wholeness? Or anything else? What is the quality that I bring today? And now gently open your eyes. Now, whatever quality you got, I got divine order. The quality that I am to express today is order. And so, whatever quality you got, go ahead and type it in the chat so you can anchor it in for yourself. But imagine your daily practice being asking, what is for my highest and best? What is the quality that I am to express? But now what you do with that is now you begin to imagine your next activity. So my next activity is my group that I get to do from 10 to 11. And I'm going to talk about small groups that I do that you're welcome to become a part of. I got some new openings in April, and you're all invited to them. They're spiritual growth circles. Now, thank you, Sunny. Sunny says joy. So what came for her today is joy. So for the next few minutes after we sign off today, imagine your life going to your next thing with joy. Thank you, Nancy. Nancy says graciousness. So begin to see yourself being in that state of graciousness in your conversations with people, your conversations on the telephone. If you get to go out and about today, having joy be that thing, kindness. Imagine and see yourself being kind to the yoga instructor, to the cashier. If whatever it is that you're doing today, see yourself engaging and expressing that way. That is the proper use of your imagination. And begin to imagine yourself each and every day after asking that question. First, we get the guidance. And where did the guidance come from? It didn't come from me. That guidance came from within yourself, that indwelling power and presence. So what's for my highest and best? And when we get those intuitions, when we get those hints, when we get those hits, we begin to then see ourselves living that way, living in the joy, living in the graciousness, living in the kindness, living in the order. And we begin to then imagine and see ourselves. Well, what happens when I see myself there? Then it becomes part of how I live, how I behave, how I act. And so it is with those of us in recovery, right? You see yourself as a sober person. You see yourself with a right mind. You see yourself, engaging in healthy activities, healthy eating. You see yourself as a healthy human being. I can bring Sunny Day on the show and we can talk about fitness, right? I'll tell you her quick story, and her quick story, which wasn't so quick, but it is her story, where she imagined herself being an IFBB pro, meaning international fitness and bodybuilding professional, getting to that place from amateur status and moving up to where she would get her pro card and actually win competitions. But what it takes was her first seeing herself getting that, seeing herself and imagining herself being on that stage, being fit. She had to see herself there. Don't you know she flew out by herself to Pittsburgh and said, I'm coming home with a card, declaring it after weeks and months of training and seeing herself. I mean, she was like, on that treadmill and, doing stuff like Rocky, and just kind of seeing herself, envisioning herself, using her imagination to see herself winning that trophy, winning her pro card. Same thing with many of you who are also in recovery. You get a chance to see yourself there, see yourself reaching a milestone, see yourself with friends and family celebrating you because of your recovery, or folks celebrating, look at how healthy you look. It's not even about how thin you look or how much weight you've put on. Look at how healthy you look. Look at how happy you are. So it's about really imagining ourselves there and then taking the necessary steps. But first, we have to imagine that it can happen for me. I have to imagine that it can happen for me. I have to see myself there. And so little by little, we can see our success by the proper use of our imagination. The same thing happens when we're doing anything. So imagine yourself. I had a great opportunity yesterday to speak about release and let go. So maybe what it's time to do right now is to release and let go of how you have seen yourself up until today. Oh, I'm just a muck up. I just muck up all the time. Oh, I'm never on time. I'm always late. Or, oh, this sobriety thing, or, being clean, this thing just doesn't work for me. Or, I always give in and I don't do the right thing. Sometimes we just have to release that idea. Or I can only get but so far. Thank you, Bertha. Exactly. Seeing yourself making food choices that bring peace to your body. So that means that we have to release and let go of this idea that I don't make good food choices. Those things that you tell yourself, man, I wish I could just make better food choices. I don't make good food choices. We get to release that. See yourself releasing that. Oh, man, I always pick up after some time of sobriety. Or, oh, man, I see myself as, this way or that way, and I can't ever succeed. I can't ever move forward. It's time now to imagine yourself releasing. I imagine I am the miracle, because you are, Marty. It's so good to have you with us. You are the miracle. It's time to release those ideas of yourself, because if you are holding on to these old ideas, and it's funny, I go, they're not old if we still have them. They're pretty recent, but I'm going to say they no longer serve us. That we have to release these ideas about ourselves, the way we see ourselves. We have to release those ideas of how we see ourselves. And the moment that we release the ideas of how we see ourselves, we are now open for new ideas and new mental images. So let's just take a few minutes in spiritual practice. This will be a very short meditation. It's going to be guided. And so just find a comfortable place for yourself one more time. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. or cast them on something inspirational. Have that soft gaze. You know, our life is really our breath. And so bring your attention back to your breath. And I want you to bring to mind the most horrific way you have seen yourself up until now. I know, just bring it to mind. I know we don't want to think about it. You know, for me right now, my desk has a lot of unaddressed paperwork. So I'm seeing that right now. It's not how I want my desk to be. And so maybe you have things that are unaddressed. Maybe you have a way of seeing yourself that is not for your highest and best. Just bring it to mind right now, and then watch it dissolve and break away. Just imagine that snapshot, that picture of my desk, that picture of you, that picture of how you see yourself, that you don't like, the thing, just see it right now and see it exploding into little pieces and just falling onto the floor. And as you watch all those little pieces falling onto the floor, you've quote unquote just blown into smithereens a mental picture of yourself in a way that is not quite flattering. It's not who you really are. And as you're watching those pieces fall to the floor, look back up to where the image was and actually see who you are willing to become. So for me, I see a clean and organized desk, everything in its place. I see an inbox that has a few files in it, a few things for me to address. My pens are in their right place. For you, it might be a slimmer you or a healthier you, someone who's doing yoga. For you, for someone else, it might be someone who's clean and sober, who's making amazing choices about their healthy living. For someone else, it might be, running or jogging or having this marathon or being fully active. For others, it might be embracing a loved one or being with family or being connected. It can be anything. Having healthy relationships. See that. Take that snapshot. And notice how you feel seeing that snapshot. Paint that mental picture, that image of you succeeding, happy, joyous, free, abundant, gracious, in joy, being kind, being the miracle, making good food choices, having peace in your body, in your mind, in your affairs. And now gently open your eyes right where you are and see the world from there. See your experiences with that. That is the mental picture. That is the imagine. Carry that picture with you this week, all of this week. Remember in the mornings to be drinking your water. Remember to use your affirmations. Remember to surrender. Remember to slow down, be still, and be silent. All of these things we've been adding into our day. And now remember this mental picture. Have it before you. Continue to see yourself being that and taking the steps necessary to have that mental picture be the manifestation and the transformation of who you are. Know that you are loved. I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. Again, just stay tuned. I'll be making an announcement next week about my spiritual growth circles that are going to be opening up some spaces. I have groups that are starting in mid-April, and I would love it if you were there. So know that you are loved and appreciated, and that whenever you need me, I'm your spiritual living coach, and I'm here to provide the spiritual tools and the personal and the loving support for your personal transformation. Until next week, bye for now.
Celebrate life. You celebrate your life. Celebrate the memories, the birds and the trees, the hugs and the kisses, the hits and the misses.